$1,500. That is less than a used laptop, less than a transmission repair on a modern car, and apparently just enough to buy a motorcycle that will still be running when everything else you own has given up and gone home. These 12 bikes are cheap, proven, and embarrassingly reliable. We are talking real street prices, real specs, and real stories from real owners who bought these machines for next to nothing and have been laughing ever since. Some of these have been in production for decades without a single meaningful change. Because when something works, you do not touch it. If you want to know which bike is best for you and doesn't cost a thing, watch this video until number 1 and figure out which bike you should buy. Number 12, BMW R65, 1978 to 1985. We are starting with the one you did not expect, a BMW for $1,500. Yes, really. Pick your jaw up off the floor. The BMW R65 is an air-cooled boxer twin producing roughly 45 horsepower from a 649cc OHV engine mounted horizontally across the frame. The cylinders stick out both sides like the bike is permanently prepared for a fight. Dry weight sits at approximately 430 pounds, which for a machine this old feels remarkably composed on the road. What makes the R65 unique is the shaft drive. No chain to adjust, no chain to replace, no chain to fling at your ankle at an inconvenient moment. Shaft-driven BMWs of this era are routinely described by their owners as bikes that simply refuse to develop problems, oil changes, and valve checks. That is the maintenance list. That is the entire maintenance list. Street prices for a solid running R65 sit between $800 and $1,500, depending on mileage and cosmetic condition. Cosmetically rough examples with mechanically perfect engines are everywhere because these motors last longer than the people who own them. Owner story. A retired mechanic in Oregon bought an R65 for $900 in 2003. He rode it as his daily commuter for 11 years, logged over 60,000 miles, and sold it for $1,100. The buyer still rides it today. The bike has had precisely one owner story. It just keeps going. The honest observation, this is the only BMW on the list, which already makes it the most interesting conversation starter in any parking lot. If you buy one of these, you will spend more time answering questions from strangers than you will spend on maintenance. That is not a complaint. But if a German air-cooled twin sounds a little exotic for your budget, the next bike on this list was built by people who turned reliability into an art form and then charged almost nothing for the privilege. Number 11. Honda CB550, 1974 to 1978. Before the CB750 got all the glory, Honda quietly built the CB550 and made it better in several ways that people still argue about at motorcycle shows. It is a beautiful argument to have over a $1,500 bike. The engine is a 544 cubic centimeter SOHC inline-4, producing around 50 horsepower, 4 cylinders, on a bike you can buy for less than a decent bicycle. The dry weight is approximately 440 pounds. Drum brake in the rear, disc up front. Simple, direct, honest machinery from an era when Honda engineers apparently had a personal stake in making sure nothing broke. What makes the CB550 unique is the pre-emissions simplicity. No oxygen sensors, no catalytic converters, no ECU to develop opinions about what fuel it wants. 4 carburetors, a points ignition you can adjust with a feeler gauge, and an engine that will run on sheer determination if you forget to change the oil. Parts are absurdly plentiful because Honda made these for years, and the aftermarket never stopped supporting them. Street prices sit between $800 and $1,500. A clean running example is genuinely one of the best value motorcycles on this planet. The honest observation, this bike is 50 years old and will outlast vehicles manufactured this decade. There's something philosophically satisfying about that. If you buy one, do not overthink the maintenance. Check the valves, sync the carbs, change the oil. Everything else will handle itself. Now the next bike made reliability its entire personality for 30 years straight and never once changed its mind about it. Number 10. Yamaha Virago 750, 1981 to 1997. Yamaha looked at the cruiser market in 1981, decided to do something genuinely new, and built the first shaft-drive V-twin cruiser they had ever produced. The Virago 750 was not trying to copy anyone. It was building its own lane, And it turns out that lane is still open and completely uncrowded. Under the Retro Cruiser, styling sits a 748 CCV twin, producing approximately 58 horsepower with around 46 pound-feet of torque. Wet weight is roughly 476 pounds, and the shaft drive eliminates chain maintenance entirely. The V-twin character gives you a genuinely pleasant burble at low RPM and enough mid-range torque to feel like you are actually riding something substantial. What makes the Virago unique is the combination of V-twin torque and shaft drive at a price that makes Harley-Davidson owners visibly uncomfortable. These machines routinely go 100,000 miles without major engine work. The electronics are simple enough that a first-time owner can diagnose problems with a multimeter and a flashlight. Street prices sit between $800 and $1,500 for clean-running examples. The cosmetics on older examples vary wildly, but the mechanicals are almost always sound because Yamaha built these engines to run forever. Owner story. A woman in Tennessee bought a 1989 Virago 750 for $1,200, rode it for 7 years across 32 states, and only ever replaced the tires and the battery. When a journalist asked what broke on it, she said, and I quote, "Nothing. Nothing broke." The honest observation, this is the most undervalued cruiser on the used market. Everyone knows about Harley. Almost nobody knows that Yamaha built something equally satisfying for a fraction of the price. That is your competitive advantage. But the next motorcycle on this list did not bother with cruiser pretensions at all. It showed up as a pure sport machine for the price of a grocery run and became one of the best-selling bikes of its era for excellent reasons. Right here, if this list is saving your wallet, hit that like button now. It helps us keep making content like this. Number 9. Kawasaki Ninja 500R, 1987 to 2009. 22 years in production, nearly unchanged from start to finish. Over 2 decades of riders buying this motorcycle, riding it hard, selling it, and the next owner doing the exact same thing. The Kawasaki Ninja 500R is not just reliable, it is structurally immortal. The engine is a 498 cubic centimeter DOHC parallel twin, producing around 60 horsepower and 44 pound-feet of torque. Curb weight sits at approximately 387 pounds. Those numbers translate to a 0 to 60 sprint that embarrasses a lot of bikes that cost 3 times as much. Wrapped in a chassis light enough to actually feel what you are doing through the bars. What makes the Ninja 500R unique is the power-to-price ratio that still makes sense decades after production ended. This is a genuine 60 horsepower sport bike available for $800. The parallel twin engine is one of the most over-engineered power plants of its era. Reports of these engines exceeding 100,000 miles on regular oil changes are not unusual. They are common. Street prices sit between $800 and $1,500. Earlier models are cheaper. Owner story. A college student in Michigan bought a 2003 Ninja 500R for $950. Rode it for 4 years through 2 Chicago winters. Dropped it twice and sold it for $800. The bike showed no mechanical degradation whatsoever. The new owner immediately posted about it online. The thread has 42 replies, all saying the same thing. The honest observation. This is the motorcycle that taught approximately 1 million people how to ride fast safely, and then refused to fall apart when they inevitably tried to break it. Buy one, thank it later. What comes next is the bike that took the same approach to dual sport riding and became so legendary in that space that the military literally used it. Yes, the military. Number 8. Kawasaki KLR 650, 1987 to 2007, first generation. The Kawasaki KLR 650 is not a motorcycle. It is a philosophy. And the philosophy being, if you build something tough enough, simple enough, and cheap enough to fix, people will ride it to places that have no business being ridden to. They did. They still do. The engine is a 651 cubic centimeter DOHC single-cylinder thumper, producing around 44 horsepower and 40 pound-feet of torque. Dry weight is approximately 432 pounds. The fuel tank holds approximately 6.1 gallons for a theoretical range that makes long-distance riders weep with joy. 21-inch front wheel, 17-inch rear, real suspension travel for real dirt roads. What makes the KLR unique is the doohickey. That is its actual nickname. The balancer shaft cam follower, a small part that the factory underspecified, is the one weakness of this entire machine. The entire motorcycle community knows about it, sells upgraded replacements for $20, and fixes it in an afternoon. One weakness, publicly known, universally solved. That is essentially perfect engineering transparency. Street prices for first-generation models sit between $1,000 and $1,500. These bikes have circumnavigated the globe on multiple occasions. The U.S. military use them. Adventure riders use them. Commuters use them. The KLR does not care what you use it for. It will simply go there. The honest observation: no other dual sport motorcycle at this price point has the parts availability, the community knowledge base, or the proven global track record of the KLR 650. If the apocalypse happens, half the survivors will be on KLRs. The other half will wish they were. Now, the next motorcycle solved the same problem from a completely different angle. Less adventure bike, more urban escape artist, and it has been doing it since the administration of Ronald Reagan. Number 7. Suzuki DR 350, 1990 to 1999. 277 pounds. That is the dry weight of the Suzuki DR 350, less than most riders, lighter than almost every other motorcycle on this list. And yet it will go places that heavier, more expensive machines will look at from the parking lot and quietly reconsider. The engine is a 349 CCS OHC single cylinder producing around 30 horsepower. The later electric start models added convenience without adding complication. 21-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear, 240 millimeters of rear suspension travel. The suspension is calibrated for off-road use, which, somewhat counterintuitively, also makes it excellent at absorbing the potholes that most city streets have apparently given up on repairing. What makes the DR 350 unique is the combination of lightweight, electric start, and genuine off-road capability in a package that fits under $1,500. Most bikes this capable at this weight cost significantly more. The Suzuki DR 350 was overbuilt for its displacement in a way that makes it essentially unbreakable under normal use, and surprisingly resilient under abnormal use. Street prices sit between $800 and $1,400. Parts are plentiful. The carburetor is a simple Mikuni unit that responds well to cleaning and does not require ritual sacrifices to keep running. The honest observation: if you have ever wanted a motorcycle that can get you to work Monday morning and get you genuinely lost in the woods on Saturday afternoon, this is the machine. It does not ask which one you prefer. It simply does both. Buy the electric start model. Your left knee will thank you every time you come to a stoplight. What comes next is nearly twice the displacement with roughly twice the cruiser presence, and it costs about the same. The math makes no sense. The motorcycle makes perfect sense. Number 6. Honda Shadow VLX 600, 1988 to 2007. And every year, thousands of people walk into a Harley dealership, look at the prices, experience what medical professionals call a cardiac event, and walk back out. A significant portion of those people then discover the Honda Shadow VLX 600 and experience something much more pleasant. Relief, mostly. The engine is a 583 cubic centimeter V-twin, producing approximately 38 horsepower and around 33 pound-feet of torque. A wet weight is approximately 432 pounds. The V-twin fires in a classic cruiser cadence. The low seat height of approximately 27 inches makes this one of the most accessible cruisers ever built for shorter riders. Honda produced this machine for 19 years without changing it substantially because there was simply nothing meaningful left to change. What makes the Shadow VLX unique is that it is the Honda version of a cruiser, which means liquid-cooled engine. Despite the classic fin styling, hydraulic automatic cam chain tensioner that eliminates a maintenance item entirely, and Honda's legendary assembly quality applied to a segment that is famous for nickel and dimming owners on maintenance. Street prices sit between $1,000 and $1,500. Running examples are everywhere because these machines simply do not stop running. The only way to kill one appears to involve sustained neglect and creative determination. Owner story: a man in Florida bought a 1993 Shadow VLX for $1,100 and spent the next 8 years riding it to Bike Week in Daytona every single year. He parked it next to Harleys that cost $25,000. He reports that nobody asked him about his bike. He reports this with the quiet confidence of a man who has never had to open his wallet for a repair bill. The honest observation: this is the best value cruiser ever built. The only people who disagree are people who have not ridden one. But now we are moving into territory where reliability and sport bike performance are not mutually exclusive. The next motorcycle on this list will confuse everyone who thinks cheap means slow. We are halfway through the list and the value only gets more ridiculous. Subscribe to the channel right now so you never miss a breakdown like this one. Number 5. Yamaha XT600, 1984 to 2003, 19 years in production. Electric start from day one when most competitors were still arguing about Kickstarters. The Yamaha XT600 arrived in 1984 knowing exactly what it was, and it did not deviate from that identity for 2 decades. That kind of conviction deserves respect. The engine is a 595cc SOHC single-cylinder producing around 44 horsepower. Dry weight is approximately 330 pounds, which is genuinely light for a 600cc machine. The long-travel suspension handles dirt, gravel, broken pavement, and the general chaos of roads that have given up pretending to be maintained. It is a tall bike at 33 inches of seat height, but that height exists for a reason, and that reason is ground clearance. What makes the XT600 unique is that it is the thumper benchmark. Every single-cylinder adventure machine that came after it was compared to the XT600. Most of them were found acceptable. None of them were significantly better at the things the XT600 was already doing. Yamaha engineers built a machine so competent in 1984 that the industry essentially spent 2 decades trying to catch up. Street prices sit between $700 and $1,200. Finding one for under $1,000 is common if you are patient. Finding one that needs significant mechanical work is rare because these engines do not fail quietly. They run until they are abused, and most owners treat them with the reverence they deserve. The honest observation: the XT600 is the dual sport machine that proved a single cylinder was not a limitation. It was a feature: light, torquey, simple, and capable of crossing continents that have no right being crossed on a motorcycle this affordable. Now, the next bike on this list took a completely different approach. Instead of going off-road, it perfected the art of going very fast on a budget and somehow managed to be one of the cheapest starting points in sport bike history. Number 4. Suzuki GS500, 1989 to 2008. If you wanted to design a motorcycle specifically to survive contact with inexperienced riders, aggressive commuting, occasional neglect, and the full spectrum of human error, you would probably end up building something very close to the Suzuki GS500, which suggests that Suzuki's engineers in 1989 were either prophetic or deeply pessimistic about their customers. Either way, the result is magnificent. The engine is a 487cc DOH C-parallel twin, producing around 46 horsepower and 37 pound-feet of torque. Curb weight is approximately 391 pounds. The chassis is forgiving without being sloppy. The braking is adequate without being terrifying. The power delivery is friendly without being boring. This is a motorcycle engineered to the exact point where nothing about it will hurt you. What makes the GS500 unique is that it is genuinely unkillable under normal operating conditions. The engine was a development of Suzuki's racing program in a displacement class, where reliability was the primary competitive advantage. The result is a power plant that treats high mileage as a warm-up. 100,000-mile GS500 engines are documented extensively with photographs. Street prices sit between $800 and $1,500. Later versions had a full fairing option. Both versions are equally reliable. The faired version looks significantly more expensive than it actually is, which is either a pro or a con, depending on your philosophy. Owner story: a courier in London ran a GS500 as a dedicated delivery bike for 4 years and 68,000 miles. Oil changes and a throttle cable. That was the entire maintenance expenditure. When the company retired it, the mechanic who inspected it reported the engine showed minimal wear. It was then sold to a new owner who put another 30,000 miles on it before this story was written. The honest observation: this is the motorcycle equivalent of a tank that also gets good fuel economy and parks easily. Buy one, abuse it slightly, watch it, refuse to acknowledge the abuse. Now we arrive at a machine that has been in continuous production so long that discussing it feels like discussing geology. Almost nothing has changed since the beginning. That is not an oversight. That is a statement. Number 3. Honda XR650L, 1993 to present. The Honda XR650L has been in production since 1993. 1993. Bill Clinton had just taken office. Jurassic Park had not yet been released. The internet was a rumor. And Honda was building a motorcycle so competent that they apparently decided at some point that further development was unnecessary and simply kept making it. 30 years later, it is still on sale. New from Honda. Unchanged. The engine is a 644 cubic centimeters SOHC single cylinder, producing approximately 40 horsepower and approximately 37 pound-feet of torque. Dry weight is 348 pounds. The front wheel is 21 inches. The rear is 18 inches. Ground clearance is 11.8 inches. These are the numbers of a machine that was designed to go anywhere and has spent 30 years proving it will. What makes the XR650L unique is the production longevity itself. When a manufacturer keeps making a motorcycle without change for 30 years, they are telling you something important. They're telling you that the machine was right the first time and that they had the discipline not to ruin it in the name of product updates. That is rarer than it sounds. The XR650L is not just reliable, it is historically validated. Street prices for older models from the 90s and early 2000s sit between $1,200 and $1,500. These bikes frequently have extremely low mileage because their owners also use them as trail bikes, and trail bikes accumulate miles slowly. Finding a 20-year-old XR650L with under 10,000 miles is entirely realistic. The honest observation, this is the motorcycle that Honda was too proud to discontinue and too smart to change. If you buy one, you are buying 3 decades of real-world validation. No other bike on this list has been stress-tested by more riders over more years under more conditions. It is the closest thing to a guarantee that a used motorcycle purchase can offer. And now we come to the strangest bargain on this entire list. A motorcycle that looks like one thing and is secretly something else. It dresses like the slowest bike in the parking lot. It is hiding the heart of a sport bike under that chrome. And almost nobody has figured it out, which is exactly why it still costs $1,500. Number 2, Kawasaki Vulcan 500, 1990 to 2009. Here's a question nobody asks. What happens when you take a 60 horsepower sport motorcycle engine, the exact same unit from the Ninja 500R, and drop it into a cruiser chassis? The answer is the Kawasaki Vulcan 500, and the answer is excellent. The engine is the same 498cc DOHC parallel twin from the Ninja lineup, producing around 50 horsepower and 42 pound-feet of torque in cruiser tune. Curb weight sits at approximately 430 pounds. The riding position is relaxed and upright. The styling is unambiguously cruiser. The engine, however, knows exactly what it came from and is happy to remind you about it when the road opens up. What makes the Vulcan 500 unique is the sleeper factor. It looks like a mild-mannered cruiser. It sits alongside Harleys in parking lots with complete confidence. And then someone on a sport bike pulls up next to it at a light and discovers, sometimes to their lasting embarrassment, that the thing has 60 horsepower and a genuine desire to use them. The Vulcan 500 is the motorcycle equivalent of a quiet person at a party who turns out to be extraordinarily interesting. Street prices sit between $1,000 and $1,500. The mechanicals are closely related to the Ninja 500R, which means the parts availability and community knowledge base is enormous. 2 generations of sport riders know this engine inside and out. That knowledge transfers completely to the Vulcan. The honest observation, if you want cruiser aesthetics, sporty performance, legendary reliability, and you want to spend under $1,500 achieving all 3 simultaneously, this is your machine. Nothing else on this list delivers that specific combination. Nothing else at this price point from any manufacturer does either. And now we have arrived at the motorcycle that made history. The machine that established the template for every modern motorcycle that came after it. The one that engineers at every other manufacturer studied like a textbook, and tried to understand how Honda did it for the price they charged. The answer was they simply cared more than everyone else. Number 1. Honda CB750, 1969 to 1982. In 1969, Honda released the CB750, and the motorcycle industry had a collective moment of panic. Here was a 4-cylinder motorcycle with a front disc brake, an electric starter, and 67 horsepower, available to the general public at a price that made European and British competitors look either confused or deeply embarrassed. Most of them were both. The engine is a 736 cubic centimeters SOHC inline-4, producing approximately 67 horsepower and 44 pound-feet of torque. Dry weight is approximately 480 pounds. The SOHC layout is one of the simplest configurations for a 4-cylinder motorcycle engine ever mass-produced, which translates directly to ease of maintenance and resistance to catastrophic failure. 4 carburetors, points ignition, a design so transparent that riders have been rebuilding these engines in their garages for 50 years without professional assistance. What makes the CB750 unique is that it invented the template, the modern sport bike, the modern inline-4, the modern concept of a high-performance motorcycle that regular people could buy and maintain. All of it traces directly back to this machine. Riding a CB750 is not nostalgia. It is studying primary sources. Every motorcycle in this list, and most motorcycles built since 1969, owe something to what Honda figured out with this engine. Street prices sit between $800 and $1,500 for running examples. A clean example with a fresh rebuild is one of the most satisfying used motorcycle purchases available at any price point. Parts are so abundant that dedicated suppliers have been in business for decades solely to support these machines. Owner story: a retired postal worker in New Mexico bought a 1974 CB750 for $1,000 in 1997. He has ridden it every summer since. The engine has never been opened. The carburetors have been cleaned twice. The tires and chain have been replaced on schedule. The bike recently crossed 212,000 miles on the original engine, and he has no plans to stop. He says it is the only machine he has ever owned that he trusts completely. For a man who delivered mail in all weather for 30 years, trust is not a word he uses lightly. The honest observation: the CB750 is not just the best motorcycle on this list. It is one of the most significant machines in the history of transportation. The fact that it is available for $1,500 or less is either the greatest bargain in motorcycling or evidence that the market has temporarily lost its mind. Either way, the correct response is to buy one before everyone else figures it out. You know what? We should keep going. Click the video coming to your screen right now and keep watching. Also, make sure to subscribe to not miss out on any of my content.